at the very beginning of at least the second half of this secular bull market, which in my view actually started back in about 2001. And so this is, I think, going to be a very, very long secular bull market. We're already 20, according to at least my calculations, say 21 years in. And I think that the period from about 2012 or so till about 2016, when gold and silver went sideways and downwards mostly, that was sort of the middle portion of that secular bull. And that since then, things have picked up. And the action in 2020 was basically confirmation of sort of the acceleration phase for silver in the latter part of the secular bull market. So all of that, I guess, that kind of market action got me to think, well, I've done all this research and writing, posting articles and so on gold and silver. And so this would have been March of 2021. And I said, look, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Nobody's going anywhere. Nobody's doing anything. I was busy, but there was a way to work the time in and put the time in. And so I said, now is a great time to put all of this research kind of into one place and explain the opportunity that there is in this silver bull market.
You've stated that silver is your generational opportunity, and what led you to that conclusion?
So, assets go through multi-year and sometimes multi-decade bull markets. And I think that for precious metals and commodities, you could argue, so hard assets in general, from about 2000, 2001, have started what I think is a multi-decade bull market. And so just the action, again, really, especially in the past year, when stocks and bonds which are financial assets, have started to really struggle and have had the worst start to, and we're actually now at the end of 2022, but even if you go back a few months, so let's say the first 3 quarters, that was the worst 3 quarters in any given year for the past century for the combination of 60 bonds, sort of the standard portfolio of 60 bonds, 60% stocks, 40% bonds, the 60-40 portfolio as it's better known. So that portfolio absolutely, tanked. People were opening their investment statements, looking at the returns and saying, well, how come bonds didn't at least do well? Bonds are supposed to zig when stocks zag, and they didn't. Bonds tanked along with stocks, and that's because rising interest rates is hurtful to both of those asset classes. And so I think that a lot of people, look at that and then said, okay, well, this isn't working anymore. I mean, it's going to take a while. We're talking nearly 40 years of a secular bull market in stocks and in bonds. So that's generational. And so to get people to finally believe or accept that bull market has run its course will take several years. But I do believe that for commodities and precious metals, that did start about 2000, 2001. And this is going to last a long time. And people are starting to look for alternatives. And certainly, if you look at how silver is priced historically, based on its pricing, going back decades. If you look how it's priced versus gold, if you look how it's priced versus all kinds of other assets, stocks versus oil versus housing, for example, silver is extremely cheap. I mean, frankly, the only other asset that I could say is perhaps in the same category, hard asset, would probably be uranium. And I'm a bull on uranium as well. And so, silver having its dual purposes of being both money and an industrial metal, to me gives it an exceptional and a unique, well-rounded place in our lives. And so, and silver's been money longer even than gold, going back 4,000, 5,000 years to Mesopotamia. So silver's been used and known as money, and it really has been in our money. And these are the kinds of things I talk about in the book, that silver's been money for us, for most of the world, for thousands of years, up until at least about 50 or 60 years ago in the 60s, when silver was removed from coinage, mostly in the West and elsewhere. So we're really living an experiment now where we have an unbacked currency, and especially the US dollar, the reserve currency for the world, arguably, that is not backed by anything. That's really an experiment, and my bet is with the proven commodity.